There is a moment in every man's life when the messages stop coming, the warmth fades, and silence replaces connection. And in that moment, most men panic. They assume silence means rejection. They rush to explain. They chase reassurance. They reveal fear before truth has even appeared. But silence is not the end. Silence is the test. It tests your emotional discipline. It tests your self-respect. It tests whether you lead with strength, or with need. Because when a woman goes silent, she is not only pulling away from you. She is watching. Watching how you handle uncertainty. Watching whether you collapse, or remain grounded. And what you do in that space will determine everything that follows. This video is not about chasing her back. It is about becoming the man whose presence changes the dynamic. Without force, without games, and without fear. Welcome to the Stoic Love Wisdom channel. This is where we share lessons about love, real-life experiences and tips for building strong relationships. In today's video, I will share with you, when women are silent, what will smart men do to turn the tables? These may be things you have never thought of. If you are looking for a deeper understanding of love and how to develop relationships, don't miss this video. Before watching the video, find a quiet space and put on your headphones to feel every word I am about to share. Relax and enjoy this journey with me. Are you ready to start this journey? Let's begin. Part 1: Understanding the Silence, Why a Wise Man Never Panics. When a woman becomes silent, most men lose themselves before they lose her. They overthink. They chase. They explain too much. They send long messages that were never asked for. They apologize for things they don't fully understand. And in doing so, they hand over their power. A smart man does the opposite. Not because he is cold. Not because he doesn't care. But because he understands something most men never learn. Silence is not the end of communication, it is the most honest form of it. Silence is information, not rejection. A woman's silence is rarely random. It usually means one of three things. She feels emotionally unsafe to speak. She feels unheard or unseen. Or she is watching how you respond under pressure. A foolish man hears silence and thinks, I am losing her. A wise man hears silence and thinks, she is revealing the truth. Stoicism teaches us one core principle. Do not react emotionally to what you do not fully understand. Silence is incomplete information. And reacting to incomplete information is weakness. Why women go silent, and why it's not what you think. Contrary to popular belief, silence is rarely a punishment. Most of the time, it is withdrawal, not attack. She goes quiet because she spoke before and felt ignored. She expressed emotions and felt judged. She showed vulnerability and felt unsafe. So she stops talking. Not to hurt you, but to protect herself. And here's the hard truth most men avoid. Her silence is often a response to your emotional presence, not your words. What she felt when she was with you matters more than anything you said. The biggest mistake men make, filling the silence. An insecure man cannot tolerate emotional uncertainty. He rushes to fill the gap. He texts. Did I do something wrong? Why are you ignoring me? Please just tell me what's going on. Each message reveals fear. Each message lowers his value. Not because caring is unattractive, but because emotional self-control is deeply attractive. Stoic men understand this. What you chase runs away. What you stand steady before begins to return. Silence tests emotional leadership. In relationships, leadership is not about dominance. It is about emotional stability. When a woman becomes silent, she is unconsciously asking, can this man remain grounded when things are unclear? Can he regulate himself without demanding reassurance? Can he hold space instead of collapsing into neediness? Your response to silence answers these questions louder than words ever could. The Stoic rule: observe before you act. A disciplined man does not react immediately. He observes. He notices. When the silence started. What changed before it? How she behaves, not just what she says. He understands that patterns matter more than moments. One quiet day means nothing. A sudden emotional withdrawal after intimacy means something. A slow fade after repeated misunderstandings means something else. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Silence reveals power dynamics. Here is an uncomfortable truth. Whoever is more emotionally reactive holds less power. If her silence makes you anxious, restless, and impulsive, she controls the emotional frame. But when her silence meets your calm presence, something shifts. She feels it. Because most men break here. They beg. They explain. They try to fix things that were never broken, only misaligned. A Stoic man does none of this. Calm is not indifference. Let this be clear. Stoicism is not emotional suppression. It is emotional mastery. You are not ignoring her. You are not abandoning the connection. You are choosing. Patience over panic. Self-respect over fear. Presence over pressure. This creates psychological contrast. And contrast creates curiosity. Why silence often reverses itself. When a woman expects you to chase, and you don't. Her internal narrative changes. She begins to wonder. Why isn't he reacting? Why does he still feel centered? Why does his energy feel unchanged? Silence was meant to give her control. Your composure takes it away, gently, without force. The foundation of reversal. Before you can flip the situation, you must first deserve to. That starts here. No impulsive messages. No emotional dumping. No attempts to force clarity. Only grounded awareness. Because a man who cannot sit with uncertainty will never be trusted with intimacy. Love, like a mirror that reflects ourselves. When you learn to love, you are also learning to look back at yourself. What are your strengths? What are the wounds that need to be healed? And understanding yourself will help you understand the other person more deeply. That is also the reason I share on this channel, to help you see love as a journey to nurture your soul. If you find these things meaningful, click like to spread that value. And if this is your first time coming to the channel, don't forget to click subscribe with the notification bell, so we can always accompany each other in the next lessons. Leave a comment below, share your true feelings after listening to this part. Who knows, your little story may touch the heart of someone in need. Now, let's continue on the next part of this journey. Part 2, The Inner Discipline, What a Wise Man Does While She is Silent. Silence does not destroy relationships. Uncontrolled emotion does. When a woman goes quiet, the real battle is not between you and her. It is between your impulse and your discipline. Most men lose here, quietly, internally, long before anything ends externally. A Stoic man understands this. You do not master the situation by controlling her response. You master it by controlling your own state. Step 1. He stops asking why and starts asking what. An anxious man obsesses over why. Why is she distant? Why is she pulling away? Why isn't she replying? These questions lead nowhere. A wise man asks what instead. What is actually happening, not what I fear? What changed in her behavior, not my imagination? What patterns do I see over time? Why invites emotion? What invites clarity? This shift alone prevents 80% of destructive reactions. He separates feelings from facts. Silence triggers stories in the mind. Stories like, "She's losing interest. I'm being replaced. I messed everything up." A Stoic man pauses and dismantles these narratives. He asks himself, what facts do I actually have? What evidence supports my fear? What evidence contradicts it? Often, there is very little proof, only projection. Emotion is loud. Reality is quiet. And the quiet man listens to reality. He does not personalize everything. One of the hardest lessons in love. Not everything is about you. She may be overwhelmed. She may be processing her own conflict. She may be unsure what she feels yet. A weak man assumes. She is silent because I am not enough. A grounded man understands. Her inner world exists independently of my validation. This emotional independence is not coldness. It is maturity. And maturity is safety. He regulates his nervous system first. Before any action, the Stoic man stabilizes his body. Because emotion lives in the nervous system. He does not scroll old messages obsessively. Reread conversations searching for clues. Sit still while anxiety eats him alive. Instead, he moves. He trains. He walks. He breathes deeply. He does physical things that return him to the present moment. A calm body creates a calm mind. And a calm mind does not sabotage itself. He refuses to chase emotional relief. Here is a brutal truth. Most men do not message her because they love her. They message her because they are uncomfortable with uncertainty. They want relief. They want reassurance. They want closure. They want to calm their anxiety. A Stoic man notices this urge, and does not obey it. Because he knows. Any action taken to soothe fear will create more fear later. He waits until he can act without emotional urgency. Only then is he free. He reframes silence as space, not loss. This is where perspective changes everything. Instead of thinking, she is pulling away, he thinks, this is space. And space reveals truth. If the connection is strong, space will expose it. If it is weak, space will expose that too. Either outcome is clarity. And clarity is better than illusion. A man who fears the truth will always suffer longer than necessary. He strengthens his own life during the silence. This is the part most men miss. While waiting, they pause their life. A Stoic man does the opposite. He invests deeper into his purpose, his work, his physical strength, his personal standards. Not as a tactic. Not to make her jealous. But because his life does not stop for emotional uncertainty. This energy shift is subtle, but powerful. People feel when you are rooted in something bigger than them. He does not mentally rehearse conversations. One silent killer of masculine presence is mental rehearsal. Imagined arguments. Imagined explanations. Imagined confessions. All of it drains power. The Stoic rule is simple. Do not fight battles that do not yet exist. If and when communication happens, he will respond fresh, not preloaded with emotional residue. He accepts the possibility of any outcome. This is the hardest step, and the most freeing one. A wise man does not cling to outcomes. He accepts. She may return with openness. She may return with distance. She may not return at all. And he makes peace with this. Not because he does not care. But because attachment to outcomes destroys self-respect. A man who can walk away internally does not need to walk away externally. That inner freedom is felt immediately. Why this inner work changes the dynamic. While she is silent, something invisible happens. Your emotional frequency shifts. You stop needing. You stop chasing. You stop leaking anxiety. And when interaction resonates, even subtly, she feels the difference. Not consciously, but instinctively. Because emotional strength does not announce itself. It is sensed. Part 3. The strategic return, when a wise man speaks and how he reclaims the frame. Silence ends eventually. Either she speaks again, or the space grows long enough to demand clarity. What separates a weak man from a wise one is not whether he speaks, but when and how. A Stoic man does not rush back into the conversation. He re-enters it. Timing is everything. The biggest mistake men make is speaking too early. They break the silence, while still emotionally charged, while still needing reassurance, while still hoping for a specific response. This is not communication. This is negotiation with fear. A wise man waits until his emotions have settled. His body feels calm. His words no longer need a particular outcome. If you still need her reply to feel okay, you are not ready. Silence should end from strength, not from discomfort. He lets her feel the gap. Here's something most men don't understand. Silence creates tension. And tension creates awareness. When you don't immediately chase, explain, or fix, she feels the absence of your emotional availability. Not in a dramatic way. In a subtle, psychological way. She begins to notice the lack of pressure, the lack of pursuit, the lack of emotional noise. This contrast is powerful, because it is rare. When he speaks, he does not address the silence directly. This is critical. A weak man says, "Why did you go quiet? Did I do something wrong? I noticed you've been distant." All of these frame her as the authority, and you as the one seeking permission. A Stoic man does not interrogate silence. He sets a tone. His message is grounded, brief, emotionally clean. Something like, "Hey. Hope you've been well. I've been focused on my own things lately. Let me know if you'd like to catch up." No pressure. No accusation. No emotional weight. Just presence. Why this works psychologically? This kind of message does 3 things at once. It shows self-sufficiency. It removes emotional debt. It reclaims the emotional frame. You are not asking her to explain herself. You are not demanding closeness. You are not withdrawing in bitterness. You are simply available, without attachment. That balance is extremely difficult to fake. Which is why it works. He does not over-explain his absence. Another common mistake. Men justify themselves. "I didn't text because I didn't want to bother you. I was giving you space. I wasn't sure how you felt." All unnecessary. A man who explains too much reveals insecurity. A Stoic man allows his behavior to speak. Silence followed by calm presence. Needs no explanation. If she responds warmly. If she comes back open, engaged, and warm. He does not punish her. He does not bring up the silence immediately. He does not unload stored emotions. He matches her energy, calmly. Connection is rebuilt forward, not backward. Later, if trust and openness return, he may address the silence with clarity and maturity. But never from resentment. If she responds coldly or vaguely, this is where most men collapse. They try harder. They send longer messages. They seek clarity immediately. A wise man does none of this. He responds politely, briefly, and then pulls his attention back to his life. Because cold energy answered with warm pursuit always lowers value. Neutrality answered with neutrality creates balance. If she does not respond at all, this is the final test of character. A Stoic man sends one clear, dignified message. No follow-ups. No emotional pressure. No, just checking in. He understands. Silence after clarity is also an answer. And he respects himself enough to accept it. The frame is the real battlefield. This entire process is not about manipulation. It is about who controls the emotional frame. The anxious man reacts. The reactive man explains. The explaining man loses respect. The centered man stays centered. And people adjust to his frame. Or exit it. Either outcome preserves dignity. Why this reverses the dynamic. When you stop chasing clarity and start embodying calm, she feels less pressure, more curiosity, more respect. Because she is no longer managing your emotions. And that is freeing. People are drawn to emotional safety more than emotional intensity. There are things in love, only when we take a step back, sit down quietly, can we truly understand. I share these stories not to teach you how to love, but so that you can find the answers for yourself. If what you just heard touches your heart, please click like as a way to spread this positive energy to more people. And remember to click subscribe, because there are many profound perspectives on love waiting for you in the next videos. Now, let's continue the remaining journey together, because the most precious things are sometimes at the end. Part 4, When she opens up, how a wise man listens without losing himself. When a woman finally speaks after silence, she is not just sharing words. She is testing emotional safety. Most men think this moment is about talking. It is not. It is about how you listen. And who you remain while listening. The first rule, he does not interrupt the truth. When she opens up, she may sound confused, emotional, contradictory, unclear. A weak man rushes to correct, to defend, to explain his side. A Stoic man does something far rarer. He lets her finish. He understands. People do not need to be corrected before they feel understood. Interrupting is not strength. It is insecurity disguised as logic. He listens for emotion, not just content. What she says matters less than why she says it. I just needed space. I didn't know how to explain it. I felt overwhelmed. These are not accusations. They are emotional signals. A wise man listens beneath the surface. He hears fear of conflict, fear of vulnerability, fear of being misunderstood. And he does not punish her for that fear. Because punishment closes doors. Understanding opens them. He validates without submitting. This is a critical balance. Validation does not mean agreement. A Stoic man may say, I understand why you felt that way. Not, you were right and I was wrong. He acknowledges her experience. Without erasing himself. Because love built on self-erasure turns into resentment. He does not confess excessively. This is where many men self-destruct. They unload every fear, every doubt, every moment of anxiety during the silence. They think vulnerability means exposure. But uncontrolled emotional dumping is not vulnerability. It is emotional flooding. A wise man shares selectively. He speaks calmly. I noticed the distance, and I gave it space. I wanted to respond from clarity, not emotion. This signals strength, not desperation. He sets emotional boundaries calmly. Stoicism is not passive. If her silence crossed a line, he does not ignore it. But he addresses it without accusation. He may say, I value communication. Silence for long periods doesn't work for me. No anger. No threat. No ultimatum. Just truth. Boundaries spoken calmly are more powerful than demands shouted loudly. He watches her response to his boundaries. This matters more than her explanation. Does she take responsibility? Show understanding? Dismiss his feelings? Minimize his experience? Words mean little. Patterns mean everything. A wise man listens for future behavior, not apologies. He does not try to lock her in. After reconnection, many men rush to secure certainty. They ask, so where do we stand? Are we okay now? Can you promise not to do this again? Fear speaks in questions. A Stoic man allows space to remain. Because genuine closeness does not need immediate guarantees. Why this moment defines the future. If you stay centered here, she feels safe. She feels respected. She feels your strength. If you collapse here, she feels pressure. She feels guilt. She feels responsible for your emotions. And responsibility kills attraction. The quiet power shift. When you listen deeply, without chasing reassurance, something shifts. She realizes, you are not fragile. You are not reactive. You are not dependent. You are present by choice, not by need. That realization is powerful. Because a woman can only fully open to a man. She does not need to manage. Part 5, the final choice, how a wise man either deepens love or walks away with dignity. Silence always tells the truth. Not immediately. Not gently. But eventually. By the time a woman has gone silent, returned, and spoken again, a wise man is no longer asking, how do I fix this? He is asking something far more important. Is this aligned with who I am becoming? The final shift, from fear to discernment. At the beginning, silence triggers fear. At the end, silence creates clarity. A Stoic man no longer sees the situation through the lens of loss. He sees it through the lens of fit. Not, do I still want her? But, does this dynamic honor my standards? Is this the kind of emotional connection I respect? Can this grow without me shrinking? This is the moment where power fully returns. He judges actions, not potential. One of the most dangerous traps in love is potential. She could change. She didn't mean it. She's just like this sometimes. A wise man does not fall in love with who she might become. He evaluates how she handles discomfort, how she communicates under stress, how she responds to boundaries. Because character shows up during friction, not harmony. If she grows, he opens the door fully. If her actions show increased communication, greater emotional accountability, respect for his boundaries, then he opens the door. Not recklessly, not desperately, but steadily. He invests deeper. Emotionally, intentionally, masculinely. Because trust is rebuilt through consistent behavior, not promises. And when a woman feels chosen by a man who does not need her, but values her, connection deepens naturally. If she repeats the pattern, he does not argue with reality. This is the true Stoic test. If silence becomes a pattern, if boundaries are acknowledged but not respected, if emotional withdrawal is used as control, he does not threaten. He does not explain endlessly. He does not wait for one more apology. He accepts what is being shown. Because the most powerful sentence a man can live by is, "I believe what I see." Walking away is not failure. Most men think walking away means losing. A Stoic man knows better. Walking away from emotional instability is not rejection. It is self-respect in motion. He does not leave in anger. He does not disappear dramatically. He does not try to teach her a lesson. He simply removes access to his presence. Quietly. Cleanly. Completely. Why this is the ultimate reversal. Here is the paradox most men never grasp. The moment you are genuinely willing to lose her is the moment you stop losing yourself. And often, though not always, that is when the dynamic reverses. Because strength without resentment is unforgettable. Whether she returns or not becomes irrelevant. You have already won. The Stoic definition of love. Stoic love is not attachment. It is not fear of absence. It is not emotional dependency. Stoic love is presence without possession, care without control, strength without hardness. It says, "I choose you, but I do not abandon myself for you." And that is the kind of love that either lasts or ends cleanly. The final truth about silence. Silence is not the enemy. It is the mirror. It shows you where you lack discipline, where you seek validation, where you abandon your center. Or it shows you your emotional strength, your standards, your readiness for real connection. The man who learns from silence never fears it again. Because he knows what is meant for him will not require him to beg, chase, or break himself to keep. Conclusion. When a woman goes silent, the situation is never just about her. It is about who you become in the absence of reassurance. Most men collapse in silence. They chase clarity. They seek control. They try to force certainty where none yet exists. A wise man does something far more powerful. He returns to himself. He understands that silence is not an enemy to defeat, but a mirror that reveals his emotional strength, or the lack of it. In that space, he does not beg. He does not perform. He does not negotiate his value. He observes. He steadies his mind. He protects his dignity. Because a man who cannot sit with uncertainty will never be trusted with intimacy. True reversal does not come from manipulation or strategy. It comes from emotional leadership. From remaining calm when most panic. From speaking only when words are clean. From setting boundaries without anger. From being willing to walk away without resentment. And that is the paradox of Stoic love. The moment you stop trying to hold on at all costs is the moment you become someone worth holding on to. Silence tests men. It exposes neediness, fear, and attachment. But for the man who has done the inner work, silence becomes a doorway. Not to control, but to clarity. Whether she returns or not, he does not lose himself. And that is the true victory. Because the strongest position in love is not being chosen. It is being whole. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. I hope you have found useful lessons about love and relationships. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. I really appreciate your support and will continue to bring valuable content in the next videos. Please continue to accompany me on my journey to learn about love and relationships. See you again and wish you happiness.